98% of the time I'm trying to give, I'm trying to share. I'm completely transparent. I have nothing to hide because the formula that I've used to create a path may not work for you, but you can steal all my ideas. I'm just going to put it out there and then you create your own thing.
Hey guys, this is actually a pre-intro to the intro, and the reason I'm doing this is because 180drums.com is having a deal right now. So here's the deal. We're giving away a free pair of Regal tip drumsticks with every subscription model, no strings attached. All you have to do is sign up for a month at $19.95. So essentially, you're paying $19.95, you're getting a month of drum lessons with the best drummers in the world with several hundred video lessons, and we're going to send you a free pair of Regal tip drumsticks. Actually, Regal tip themselves is going to do that, and it's going to be branded. It's got our 180 Drums logo on it, so we're super excited to partner with these guys. And there's more. We've actually added new tier options as well. So with the 1 month option, you'll get a free pair of sticks. If you sign up for 6 months, you'll get a free pair of sticks and you'll save on 1 month worth of lessons. So there's already some savings built into that option. And we've got the 1 year option for $180, which is like paying for just 9 months and you get 3 months free on the house. So guys, head over. I know I just said house like a Canadian, but that's what's up, guys. We're super excited. Now, here's the real intro. Ladies and gentlemen, Jake Nicole here. Welcome to the 180 Drums podcast. I'm so excited for you guys to be tuning in today because we have Rich Redmond on the show. Rich Redmond. Now, real quick, a couple fun facts about Rich, and this is actually stolen right from his website, which I would encourage you guys to go check out at richredmond.com. /did-you-know. So go check out Did You Know, because here's just a couple of the really quick facts that I'm going to rattle off is that Rich actually holds a Bachelor of Music Education from Texas Tech University. So today we're going to talk about education. We're going to really delve into so many of the values of being well educated and how that actually applies and isn't a lame thing to know, but is an incredibly effective thing to know. So we're going to get into that. And he has a Master's of Music Education from the University of North Texas. So he's also played in every U.S. state, most major cities, and in 14 countries. He was in a band called Rushlow that enjoyed 2 top 40 hits, and currently he's out with Jason Aldean. He's played on pretty well every late night show, every awards show. He's been on more than 24 number one singles, I'm sure, and has been featured in tons of number one music videos, both with Jason Aldean and with various artists in Nashville and in the surrounding area, and now worldwide. Rich is also made himself worldwide, and you can book him, and he records tracks right in his house. So before I get too crazy going on about Rich, because you guys got a long podcast interview ahead of you that's going to be amazing, full of education. I'm so excited. Here's a couple of the things we're going to delve into. We are going to talk about routines. So what Rich does when he wakes up in the morning and how much that varies from time to time, when exactly he gets up based on how late his nights are and his work schedule. We're going to talk about his workout routine. We're going to talk about eating together and diet stuff. I even have a good little segment there where I talk a little bit about diet. Now, one thing to note is that neither Rich nor myself are registered health experts or dietitians, so our advice is to be taken with a grain of salt. And another thing I'm really excited about is we just had Rich in at 180drums.com. It's true. We just had him in and we filmed a ton of lessons. Now, what I think separates Rich's lessons at 180, from anything else that I've seen on the internet is that we really delve in. We go deep with Rich and we talk a lot about his techniques, his showmanship, and we spend a long time focusing on just a few subjects. As you guys know, if you've ever been to a Rich Redmond clinic, which I absolutely suggest you go to, is that Rich can cover a wide array and variety of subjects very quickly, and we slow that whole thing down. So we isolate not only showmanship, but we get into some of his Latin playing, his rock playing. We actually have a licks video that I can't wait for you guys to see where we cover a whole bunch of killer rock licks, song enders, great things that are actually applicable on gigs and hopefully won't get you fired. And we just go through all of it, guys. So you can check out this podcast by going to 180drums.com/Rich Redmond. And from there, you'll be able to see a glimpse of everything that we covered with Rich. And that's RichRedmond, Rich Redmond. And yeah, guys, I'm really excited. Head there, check that out. There's going to be a big gallery where you guys can go right now and see a ton of pictures. There will also be links to Rich's lessons, and you guys can sign up and register there and get access to all that for $20 a month. You can have all of Rich Redmond, learn a ton of stuff for $20 a month. So we're really excited to be able to put this podcast on, guys. We've been getting great feedback. Please head to the iTunes store and give us a rating. Give us a rating and a review, and we'd be so happy to hear what you guys think. You can always email me, jake@180drums.com. And feel free to let me know what you think, if you have questions, or if you'd like to see different drummers on the podcast. For now, without further ado, Rich Redmond. Rich, my man, welcome to the show.
Hey, what's up, Jake?
Dude, we are so excited to have you on the 180 Drums podcast today because, man, I think that you've got such great insight in so many areas of the industry, both in music and professionally. I mean, trying to make it as a drummer is one thing, but your advice with networking and all these things you got going on are amazing. So, dude, why don't you give us, you just wrapped up the Drummers Weekend in Nashville, right?
Yeah, it's I have a platform called my Drummers Weekend. We just wrapped up the third annual, and it's just a fun kind of like 72-hour immersive event. You know, I have teachers, great world-class teachers come in. I have 20 kids come in from around the United States, and we just kind of let them see what Nashville is all about. They get tons of hands-on training. I try to get a great cross-pollination of teachers. So, like, you know, this year I had Greg Morrow, which is one of our top, if not the top, recording drummer in Nashville. I had my buddy Mark Schulman, who plays with Pink, Cher, Foreigner, Stevie Nicks, cover, you know, pop, rock drumming, motivation. And I had our buddy Thomas Lang come in and talk to everybody about chop development, musicianship, and just getting great on your instrument, along with a million other guys. And we just had a blast in Nashville. It's a fun little platform that we're going to be repeating. 2016 hopefully is going to take us into some other markets. So I'm going to host a Drummers Weekend Los Angeles, a Drummers Weekend Chicago,
cool.
A Drummers Weekend Seattle. We might even do a Drummers Weekend Canada. You know, who knows? Maybe one of Drums will sponsor the first annual Canadian Drummers Weekend.
As long as we don't offend any local store owners here. That'll be the goal. I had to say it. That's awesome, man. Dude, well, you know, what are some of your favorite testimonies that have come out of one of those weekends?
Well, you know what I'm finding is that a lot of the kids, thank God, are going on to successful adventures. A lot of kids are actually being accepted to high-level music colleges to study music, music education, music business. People are getting jobs as professional drum techs. People are taking auditions and winning auditions and getting gigs. So, you know, some of the stuff that we talk about, the real life stuff, is being applied, and people are going out there and promoting themselves and getting gigs, which is great.
Amazing. That's great, man. So give us a little bit of a perspective on, it's a 3-day event, is that right?
Yeah, it's a 3-day event, and I just have a platform where the kids come in the first day, first hour. We do 8 hours of training for 3 days. So the first day we talk about, you know, grip and the basics, and it's just a 90-minute boot camp on, you know, chop development and a lot of my backstage warm-ups. And then immediately my idea is that every 90 minutes to 120 minutes that the kids have a brand new thing. So they're never bored. They're never, you know, kind of restless in their chairs. So I had Jason Aldean's producer come in and talk to the kids about what a producer is looking for in a drummer. And then I had my buddy Billy Hahn come in. He plays percussion with Colby Calais, talk about, you know, hand drumming and using hybrid kits and how everything that you can possibly hit in life is a sound, is a resource for making music. And then Greg came in and did a 2-hour clinic, and I have a awesome kind of world-class rhythm section on hand where the kids can get up and they can play with the rhythm section, and the rhythm section myself can immediately give them feedback on how to become a better drummer right then and there and how to play more musically. And then the kicker for it all is every night Well, we have catered lunches, which is great. There's a nice hotel package at a 4-star hotel. The kids ride to and from events in a limousine. All of my companies send a wonderful array of door prizes, and then at night we go to a nice dinner where we break bread at, a nice restaurant. We have a back room all to ourselves, so 40 people are dining and talking about wing nuts and paradiddles and all that kind of stuff. And then the very last night, the kicker, which separates it from a lot of camps, is the kids get to actually apply in a real world scenario a lot of things that they learn. So we go to a nightclub called Douglas Corner in Nashville, where a lot of famous bands have been signed, careers have started, careers have ended. It's one of those kind of venues. And the kids get up with a world-class band with recording artists, and they back up these recording artists in front of a paid audience. Awesome. And I assign them the song that they're going to play literally the night before. So 12 hours before, I assign them a song. They download it. They have to chart it. And with no rehearsal, they're walking up to the bandstand, and I whisper in their ear, hey, the song's going to end like this. When you get to the tag, after 3 times, make sure you end bop, 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 ba. Watch me, I'll cue you. And so they're getting a taste of what it's really like to have to listen and lead and follow and do all those things that a professional drummer does in a real-life scenario, like right away.
Oh, man, that's amazing. I think what's so awesome about that is that this is truly an incredibly unique opportunity. I love that you said right away it's immersive, so you get really immersed in learning, because I think that that's so important. I know that any time in my life I've really, in a couple days, risen to a new level, it's being immersed in something. So, wow, what an experience, man. And can you talk about how much something like that costs typically?
Yeah, it's there's an executive package which is like $17.99. So that's for all the people that maybe they have grandma in town and they can just crash with her, so they don't need a hotel package. And then if you have the hotel package, all the meals and the limousine, and then the 3 days of training and all the door prizes is $22.99.
Dude, those are great deals, man. That's amazing. And
a lot of times kids they pay for itself with indoor prizes and experience. I mean, there's no other drum camps on the planet where we have so many resources right in our backyard in Nashville. So the last day of the camp, I have a round table. So this year, the kids got to hang out and ask questions with Chris McHugh, Lester Estelle, Kelly Clarkson, Matt Billingsley from Taylor Swift, Kevin Murphy from Randy Houser's band, Tracy Broussard from Blake Shelton's band, Ben Caesar from Brad Paisley's band. They're rubbing shoulders with all the guys that are doing exactly what they would want to do.
Wow. Amazing. What I love about you, man, and what I love about all the things that you're doing is that we're not having to have some corporate company come in and try and throw an event that makes sense to make money. This is something that you are an active part of the community. You're, in all the magazines, your face is everywhere because you're present. You're truly a touring and working musician. And yet at the same time, you're offering opportunities where these are all your friends. So none of it's forced. Like, you know what I'm saying by that?
Well, totally. And that's the key to life for anybody that's listening, is, if you have the ability to nurture real world relationships that are transparent and sincere and based on, being friends for the right reasons. We just have such a tight-knit community, probably more so than any other music city on the planet. Yeah. Yes, it's highly competitive, but for the most part, people are here to kind of help each other. And when one person wins, everybody wins. And so we're, always looking out for each other so we can all work and get behind a set of drums and pay our bills and do what we want to do,
Yeah. One story that I love that Ben Satterly, one of our teachers at 180, who I know Ben as well. Yeah. Great dude. One of the things that he mentioned was calling Jim Riley one time, and he actually went to call a number that was on one of Jim Riley's sites for his book, Nashville Number System, talking about that. And he gets Jim Riley on the phone, and Jim Riley spent, I think an hour or something just talking with him, giving him advice. And Ben ended up moving as a result to Nashville. I'm pretty positive that if I'm reading that correctly. And just today, I had a student who was, we're actually talking over Skype, and he mentioned that from 180, he had seen Ben, and he reached out to Ben just like through Instagram or something, and then they ended up talking for an hour. So it's so cool that, you know, like those are all great opportunities, but to be able to be immersed where for 8 hours a day you're spending time with these guys in person is pretty exceptional. So I hope you guys aren't listening feeling like this feels like a sales pitch, because I'm truly interested in it. That's why I was asking you, man, is because I feel like right away I wanted to know what this event really looked and felt like.
You're always so supportive. You know, like I know that we're, for example, like Drummers Week in LA. What is cool about the platform for the event is that we try to book people that make that music city a unique thing. So if I'm hosting my event in Los Angeles, then I'm going to have a rock drummer, I'm going to have a jazzer, I'm going to have a guy that plays on television, I'm going to have a guy that plays on movie soundtracks, I'll have a percussionist, I'll have a hand development guy, all guys that are from the greater Los Angeles area that are really doing it. You know, so like I haven't reached out to these guys, but I know that we would probably want to do something together. But I would probably get somebody like, you know, Matt Starr, you know, from Ace Frehley's band. I would have him probably do a rock drumming class. Maybe have my friend Jason Sutter come in and do a thing on brushes, and maybe call Nate Morton, you know, the drummer on The Voice. And, you know, so these are the drummers that you're going to be learning from, and they're the most successful, busiest drummers on the planet.
Yeah, no kidding. Man, well, let's take a bit of a different turn. So we're talking about what you're currently up to, and what's so cool is in the first, 10 minutes of this podcast, a little bit more than the first 10 minutes now, for all you guys listening, Rich has listed off a huge network. So let's maybe jump in and talk about how life has brought you through these relationships, and how you've done a good job at not only developing these relationships with drummers, like you're mentioning Jason Sutter, you're mentioning Nate Morton, you're mentioning all the guys in Nashville that you're working around. You know, how did you build these contacts? And then more importantly, how did you nurture them?
Well, drummers, we love drummers. I mean, we're just in this awesome club. You know, we lift each other up more than any other kind of instrumentalist. We have this common bond that goes back to like the dawn of man, where we're beating on skulls with like bones and logs. And it's in our DNA. We seek each other out. For the most part, 99% of us help each other out, lift each other up, and especially in the Nashville community. So I moved here in February of 1997. Jim Riley was the first guy that I saw, and then Pat McDonald with the Charlie Daniels band, and then we would just keep, running into each other, and we were navigating the system of Nashville, climbing the ladder to success, one handshake at a time, one gig at a time together, and you can't rush it. I always tell everybody, everyone's for the golden pill or the quadratic formula for success, and it's just really it's a marathon, not a sprint. So if you see the goal, you have to write down what your goal is, so you write that down on a piece of paper, and that starts to create, the universe starts to spin in motion to bring circumstances and peoples and scenarios into your path to help you achieve that goal. But you can't be in too much of a rush. And, you have to do it for the right reason. I do it because I love music. I love people. I love the whole thing, the music industry and the entertainment industry. And you just take one gig and you knock it out of the ballpark, and people will start saying, hey, this person shows up. They're very prepared. They have a smile on their face. Their gear sounds good. They're professional. That's the highest compliment you ever get from people, is that you're a good musician and that you are professional. And musicians have a bad rap about, sleeping to noon and it's all just one crazy party, but it's not. We're our own booking agents, our own managers, our own personal trainers, our own publicists. We do everything ourselves, because the majority of the time we're not making the kind of money where we can have people doing all those things for us. So, we have to do all those things to have a package, like a well-rounded package. People that are successful in this industry usually have that package. They're a good musician. They have some sort of a thing, a recognizable thing on stage. They're able to take direction from people. They're easy to work with. They have giving personalities, and they're in it for the long haul. I mean, because a lot of people can come and have like overnight success It's very rare, but let's say you join some band at 18 years old, and at 19 you have a number one song, and then the song goes away, and then you don't know how to cultivate another 20 years in the business. Whereas I've been doing it. Started playing drums in 1976, and
Wow.
still doing it.
That's amazing. Dude, there's so much in there to unpack. Let's start with one thing right away. You mentioned, we're our own booking agents. We're our own personal trainers. We have this responsibility to not sleep until noon and get stuff done. And truly, it's that much greater of a responsibility because, in a sense, we're entrepreneurs. It's up to us to make the success happen, right? So one question that I'm seeing here online is, do you have a daily routine? Like, what is it that you, in a typical day, which isn't often in our world, what would it look like an ideal day?
What's great is that there is no typical. Maybe that's what keeps us young, and that's what
Right.
makes us, so for somebody like myself that multitasks, let's see. So tonight, after I get off this call, I'm going to see a band because I promised them I would go see them, and I'm going to meet the drummer, and I'm probably going to sit in. And then after that, I'm doing an interview series with a friend of mine who's getting a master's degree in percussion, so he has to do a field study of percussionists and talk to them about what method books they use and who they studied with and all this kind of stuff. And then I have to chart a bunch of Jason Aldean songs because Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday we're recording the 7th Jason Aldean record.
Amazing.
And then right after the session on Wednesday, I'm jumping on a plane. I'm going to the Percussive Art Society. And so for people out there that haven't been to the Percussive Art Society, we have this awesome society called the Percussive Art Society, or the PAS, and once a year drummers and percussionists and teachers and educators all from around the world gather to discuss our craft and to celebrate the gift and the craft of what we do, and to exchange ideas. And it's always really awesome. It's always worth going. So me and my buddy Jason Sutter, who plays for Marilyn Manson, are going to go just hang out for 4 days and go see all the clinics. And it's really well represented this year because Nashville, we've got Chris McHugh, Jim Riley, and Near Z all doing clinics this year.
Wow.
Yeah. So no. For me, the challenge is how can I fit my workout in and run my business, which means emails, texts, and social media stuff, all around actually doing my job, which is going to be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, playing drums and percussion, all day, and trying to, make a producer happy, make an artist happy, drive the band. I have to have the most energy and the most focus out of anybody in that building. As anybody knows, that the drummer can make or break a track. So that always becomes the thing. It's just like, okay, I don't have a sleep schedule. I mean, God bless the person that goes, yes, I go to bed at 9:30 every night. And I wake up at 5 a.m. to a cup of coffee and I do my yoga, and it's like, wow, what a luxury. Sounds kind of boring though, actually. Like I'll go to bed tonight when I finish everything I have to finish. Hopefully I'll get 4 hours. My goal is to get my butt out of bed and move and stretch and feel good before my workout and before my session, because if I don't get my workout in before my session tomorrow, it's not happening.
Interesting. Okay, first of all, guys, I hope that you're noticing the stuff that Rich is saying. So one thing, Rich, this is so cool. The other day I was on the phone with Andy from Drum Magazine. Little shout out to Andy there. I'm not sure if you know him personally. You know Andy? Great. Because he knew you, man. And I brought up how we've been, for everyone listening, you guys will see something that we're working on with Drum Magazine with 180. We're doing this big spread of a whole bunch of lessons with them. And one of the things that's really cool is we had a lesson with you in there. We had a lesson with Rich in there. And Andy's reaction was like, oh man, Rich. He goes, Rich is the best. He goes, that guy is such a pro. He used the word professional, like you said earlier. He goes, that guy's such a pro. He's always on it. He knows what he's doing, and he's ahead of the game. So it's like, for you guys listening right now, I know that there's a lot of content of Rich out there because he's doing such a great job spreading the word what he's about. He's proactive, but like,
you said
really a boot. Did I? About. There's a lot of information about Rich out there. Yeah. There you go. Shoot. But yeah, guys, he's trying to dodge the compliment. But I hope you guys are picking up on it. Yeah.
I that's a great magazine, man. Just a great magazine. I wrote a little column in the back. They let me write a little column in the back for like 2 years, which is really fun. But God, it's so great to have so many resources for drummers out there. I mean, it's like bass players and guitar players don't have those amount of magazines and resources.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
that speaks to our community of drummers. We want to know about each other. We want to know not only about what gear are you using, man, what kind of widget is on holding your cymbals together or whatever, but also like our backgrounds, our philosophies, our histories, the road we travel to get from point A to B, what we listen to, what we're listening to now. What do we juice? Like what's in my smoothie in the morning? Like we really are interested, and because we all draw from each other and steal tips and tricks, and it's just a great industry. And it's very small industry. You know, when you start thinking about computer softwares or app development or the medical industry, or it's like so massive. When you talk about musicians, we all end up getting to know each other along the way. You know?
Yep. So no trash talking, no putting other guys down. We're all in it together, man, for sure.
Yeah, big time.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about you said every day you want to get a stretch in or a workout in before you do anything else. Is that a form of a routine for you?
It's a form of routine that it becomes more important, you know, as you age, you know, because things not only do you lose muscle tone, but you become you lose flexibility and mobility. You know what I mean? So like, you know, my weight kind of fluctuates depending on, you know, what's happening in my life, but I'm trying to make it a super priority. And now I do kind of digress. Tomorrow I'm going to get a little bit more sleep. And I'm going with a friend of mine, a great friend of mine named Jimmy, who started out as a student and now he moved here and he's killer. He's Jamie Lynn Spears, Britney Spears' sister's band leader and drummer. And he really inspires me because he really got into fitness and he turned his whole body around, and he goes to Barry's boot camp. So I'm going to Barry's boot camp on Monday and Tuesday after my recording session. So he said, dude, I'll we'll get a treadmill next to each other. And he's like a veteran. He does it all the time. So I'm going to get my butt kicked tomorrow, but it's in a good way because it has the reputation of being one of the world's greatest workouts. So.
Oh, amazing. Well, hopefully you don't eat lunch before that, dude.
Are you still holding out to the one meal a day thing?
You know what? I am. That's so funny that you're asking about that. I was just talking with a friend. For all those listening, I've been getting really into, like just trying to eat one meal at the end of the day, dude. I've still been doing that. So I don't eat anything all morning and all lunch typically, and then I'll just eat dinner or maybe 2 times in the evening. So today, I've really only eaten once. I had some like nuts around 1 just to kind of push me through, just like a thing of trail mix. And then just about, actually I guess at 4 I had a big dinner and ate, you know, my entire intake of calories for the day kind of thing. And then I probably won't eat again tonight. I think I'm good to go. So
wow.
Yeah, it's funny. What I find for me, the reason I do that, I have that routine in my life is because that way I only have to think about one meal. I can eat a lot of food in that one meal. I'm not too worried about portion size. And I find that I think clearer in the mornings and in the afternoons because I'm not only am I not thinking about food, but I'm not bogging my system down. Sometimes we eat too much for breakfast, we eat too much for lunch. And the biggest problem, man, the biggest reason I do this is because you want to aim to have at least 10 hours, if not far more, where there's nothing in your stomach. So a lot of us eat late at night, we eat first thing in the morning, and our stomachs never get a chance to just kind of be empty and free from having to process something.
Interesting.
So, yeah. I mean, I aim for 16 hours, if I can, 16 hours of having nothing in my stomach.
This is like you can start, like you need to write a book on this, man. It's awesome. Yeah, for me, I'm better with the grazing. You know, I'm
Yeah.
You know, I need the energy, and who knows? Maybe it's all I don't know. Maybe it's just in my head, you know, that I need that. But
maybe. I mean, it is interesting. I know that the part of the I obviously didn't create this idea of eating once a day, but what I have heard is it's really based on a hunter-gatherer thing, you know? Mm-hmm. So typically if you were out, you know, living in the cave and you had to gather food, you wouldn't be eating first thing in the morning because the food you caught yesterday probably went bad. And then you're waiting all day, you're hunting something, and then you're, you know, kind of typically catching something that you hunted, then you're preparing it and you're eating a big meal in the evening, you know? So It's interesting, man. It's definitely interesting. But I love that you're saying you stretch and that you exercise. I think that that's so important. What are other aspects of your day that are consistent or that make you feel like, okay, this was a successful day?
Coffee.
Yes. I'm drinking a coffee right now.
Coffee, black coffee, coffee with a little bit of something in it. Maybe an iced coffee. No, that it could be totally addictive thing as well. But there's also, you have to identify little things in your life that, for example, as if you travel as much as I do, there's little creature comforts that people like to lean on in travel just because it grounds them. It's something that they can look forward to in their day. So for me, it's like, God bless Kenny G. He's like a 50% owner of Starbucks, but they're on every corner. And I will say this, that it speaks to quality control. You go into a Starbucks, they're selling a feeling. There's a warm atmosphere there. All the employees they hire are very super friendly people. The product is consistent on a global level.
Yeah.
It's a business model that crushes. If you can copy that business model as a musician, like offer people a consistent product, so your musicianship is always at a high level. You're always on time. You always have a smile on your face, and you're providing people with a feeling, and you're providing people with an experience. So think about that.
Wow.
Especially if you're a freelance musician, people want to know that they can count on you, because usually the people that are paying a freelance musician, either they're it's hard for them to pay that money. Say you're a weekend warrior band and the money's getting sliced and diced. That band leader wants to feel good about paying you. And then even if you're playing with a high level artist, a lot of times they have 100, 150 employees, you want them to feel good about signing that check every 2 weeks.
What are some of the things that you think define professional? So you used this word earlier of leaving people feeling like that guy's a professional. What does that look like?
Well, I think I mentioned some of them, like, you look good because you're a product. So, you take care of yourself. You think about your body, the clothes you wear, the style of your hair. Do you take a shower often? Do you brush your teeth? Other things like, you're constantly selling yourself. This is basic stuff. Like I can see people right now, like, fast forwarding this or leaving the podcast, but like, do you have a firm handshake? I mean, do you try to look people in the eye and remember their names? And do you try to really connect with people on a personal level and make them feel good in your presence? And, are you positive? Do you have a good attitude? So, these are things that when I came up with my Crash, philosophy for success. I mean, those are 5 things that anybody can remember really pretty easily. Crash standing for commitment, relationships, attitude, skill, and hunger. So every day I'm committed to being the best I could possibly be, being better than the day before. Honoring relationships, whether they be lifelong relationships that I've cultivated, or I'm constantly looking for new relationships that I can kind of have a symbiotic relationship with. People, we help each other out. Having a great attitude, I think, is 99% of life, and pushing my skill set forward, so identifying the skill sets you need in your chosen field to be successful. So for us, like as drummers, it's like, okay, can we play styles? Can we read music? Can we play with clicks? Can we program loops? Do we play percussion? Do we play brushes? Do you sing background vocals? Like, what are all the things that you can do as far as skill sets? The more skill sets you have to offer, the more opportunities you can create for yourself. And the more opportunities you can create yourself allows you to work more and, put yourself in either more situations that'll get you closer to what you really want to do. So say you don't want to be a weekend warrior drummer. You want to be an original band. Well, by going and taking that position in the working weekend warrior band, you're going to be meeting a lot of musicians. And through that journey, maybe you meet 2 or 3 other guys that you totally hit it off with on a musical and a personal level, and you start that original band. But that would have never happened if you hadn't taken the Weekend Warrior gig.
Wow, man. Now, you have a good story of that in your life, right, with the Jason Aldean guys?
Yeah, that was not an audition. That was, I guess it was kind of like in a weird way, like a kind of an audition, but I was playing with Kurt Allison, our guitar player. I was playing with him and in his dad's band. We had like a Vegas kind of like soul review type band. And he introduced me to Tully, our bass player, whose uncle was writing at Warner Chappell Music, and introduced us to Michael Knox, who was Jason Aldean's producer. They needed a drummer. They felt good about playing with me. They brought me in. We did a rehearsal one day, and everybody was pleased with me in my musical ability, but also in the hang. And we all ride on a bus together or in a van and get along and shoot the shit and the whole deal. And it worked out. So I guess that was my audition, but it wasn't the kind of audition that usually comes from like a management company that says, hey, you know, such and such has 3 number 1 songs, is looking for a drummer. And then 50 drummers show up and they have to play 3 songs each. Not that kind of audition, you know?
Yes.
It was,
yeah, that's great, man. That's I love that, because, you know, had you messed up any one of those relationships, it wouldn't have worked, right? You were just being yourself, but you had built up a routine of being professional leading into that. It
started with me getting along musically with Kurt. Well, yeah, I met Kurt's dad. Kurt's dad hired me. I met Kurt. We started making great music together. He introduced me to Tully. We all started making great music. Introduced me to, and then the package was put together. We had 4 guys that were connecting on a musical and a personal level, and then it was all about, you know, creating a product and being patient and doing showcases and just moving forward, you know, at a turtle's pace. But it worked out. You know, it worked out.
Amazing. What was one of your first paid gigs?
You know, it's a question that comes up all the time, and I wish I knew, because I knew that I know that I started kind of like playing around El Paso, Texas when I was 16, 17, 18 years old. I think the first time I started really like making any kind of sizable money was the summer between my freshman and sophomore year in college. I went to Texas Tech University to get my undergraduate degree. It's in Lubbock, Texas, and there's nothing to do in Lubbock but practice. There's nothing to do there. And so I did a lot of practicing, but I went home for the summer and I got a job with a Latino band in El Paso, Texas. And so we were playing like country top 40 radio, classic rock, and then all the classic Mexican American pop songs that were on the radio at the time. And so I had to immediately learn how to play a new style of music. I was surrounded by Spanish-speaking people that, you know, that grew up playing this music, and I was totally thrust into this scenario. And we were playing nightclubs, you know, Thursday, Friday, Saturday night. I was making a little money. It was great. I had the bug. It was like, wow, I can get paid for this.
Man, that's amazing. That gives me some, because I didn't know that. And when we had you in at 180, you did a whole bunch of Latin lessons, and I was surprised by the feel. I remember being like, how can you just learn this by simply studying the style? It's something that you kind of have to be, again, you have to be immersed into it, and you really have to be, fixed in that situation. So that's really cool to hear that you did have a background doing that.
Oh man, you'll never know, man. You know, I appreciate it. Like my friend Mark Poise, he's a great new drummer here in town. Plays with a guy named Tyler Farr, and I had him at my camp, and the kids just see him on stage just bashing his brains out, like, you know, Josh Freese, just an over the top, massive, really charismatic player. And then he described his story and how he studied at the University of Miami and studied bebop drums, and he played in the top big band there, and he was playing dance music and disco music, but was also into like Seven Dust and the Vandals, and you put all that stuff in a pot and you mix it all up, and you come out with somebody who has a unique playing style that can kind of go in different directions if they need to. And I've always appreciated players like that. You know, your Steve Houghtons, your Ray Brinkers, your Greg Bissonets, the, you know, guys that could play styles and switch gears pretty easily. And that's always kind of what I strive to be as a player, is versatile.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you embody that stuff. Like, if you guys haven't been to a clinic with Rich, get out to one. If you're a guy who's really stuck on, I shouldn't say stuck, but if you're really just looking for a clinic to be choppy, I would still encourage you to go to Rich's clinic, because it's so insightful. I love the way you talk about dynamics. I mean, you know, we're covering some of the stuff you would talk about in this podcast, but you take it so much deeper in person with a clinic. So you guys got to get out to one of those. Got to check it out for sure. Dude, who are some people that you view as successful in life? It doesn't have to be a musician at all.
Successful people are all around us, and it's a hard question because everybody in life has to define what success is to them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when I was in Dallas, Texas, I got my master's degree at the University of North Texas. I was kicking around there in Dallas. I was playing in top 40 band, playing in churches, playing in wedding bands, playing in big bands. Now, some people describe what I was doing as a freelance drummer, playing 6-7 nights a week, as a successful career. And I knew in my heart of hearts that I would not be happy at 55 years old doing that. I wanted to play with bands, tour the world, hear myself on the radio, shoot music videos, the whole thing. And for me, I just kind of knew that probably wasn't going to happen in Dallas, Texas. So I was in school with, Keith Carlock and Blair Cinta and all these guys that have gone on to have really amazing careers. And we all got the heck out of Dallas, Texas. And we just had to do it because for whatever reason, there's just there's a ceiling on the music scene there, whereas in, Los Angeles and Nashville and New York City, it's kind of the sky's the limit. Those are kind of like places where you want to be to move your career forward. So there's a lot of drummers in the world, man. I'll take nothing away from them. They're big fish in small ponds. They're the guys that are doing the wedding gigs and the bar mitzvahs, and they're doing jingles, and they're teaching 30 students a week, and they play in the best, local band in town, and they play drums every day. And so that's how they've defined success for themselves. And so, I quickly just wrote down what I wanted to do, and then I gave my band 2 weeks notice, and I moved to Nashville. And here I am, like 19 years later, still paying dues, still meeting people, new people every night.
Yeah.
It's super, super exciting. But of course, I take leads from the uber successful. So your television stars, like your Mark Ruffalo. He's a character actor, but he works all the time. He probably does 5 or 6 films a year. To me, I consider an actor like that just as successful as a Tom Cruise because, there's only one Tom Cruise. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you have your Steve Jobses, and you have your Liberace's, and you have your Tim Ferrisses, and you have, just different people from walks of life that I have somebody in my life that I know is 6 or 7 years younger than me. She built a business, and before she was 40 years old, she sold the business and made a lot of money. And so when you're 40 years old and you have a lot of money, then you have the next 40 years to look at and go, well, now what do I want to do? Yeah. Which is kind of rare in our industry. Because it's just not, unless you're in U2 or the Police or in Kings of Leon, or you're cut in on the publishing and the t-shirts and all that. It's, we're worker bees, and we have to show up every day and work.
Absolutely. Yeah, man. Absolutely. Okay. So you named a whole bunch of great people, and I love that you discussed, it's true. We do have to find success for ourselves and define it ourselves. Who are people that you personally think are successful? So, for me in my life, this is funny. I'm totally a mama's boy. But I think that my mother is incredibly successful because, at 46 years old, I want to say maybe it was 44, she decided that she wanted to become a doctor at 44 and become an osteopath. So,
amazing.
So now, dude, after, I don't know, it's probably been a 4-year journey where she's incredibly close to becoming an osteopath against all odds. She's, a registered massage therapist. She's got her 500 hours in yoga. So she's just like, is super diverse in her study, Swedish massage, just all these different things, Thai. She studied all this stuff, and she just loves what she does. So to me, regardless of how much income she generates, she is the epitome. She goes on a 2-hour walk every morning with our dog and the neighbor's dog because it's peaceful for her, and she really enjoys it. So, who are some people like that in your life, and what are the qualities about them that make them successful to you?
I love it, man. I would say that my parents are heroes too. My mom is like a 25-year survivor of breast cancer. When she beat breast cancer,
wow.
she immediately ran the New York Marathon.
Get out of here.
This is the kind of blood I'm coming from. And then my dad was an accountant for 30 years, and he went to night school for 6 years while working a day job and raising us to get that piece of paper so he could get a job. And he was with the company for 30 years. And now my parents are in their 70s, and I'm going to be going to see them and for Thanksgiving, go eat my mom's pumpkin pie, and Christmas, and go spend time with them, which is really, really great. But they're highly successful people. My mom is a nurse. She worked in oncology, cancer research, helping other people. And, she's around. You have to have a strong constitution and a lot of empathy to do her job, because somebody dies on her every single day. Wow. Somebody dies in her presence, every single day. And of course, my dad ran these factories over in Mexico for 30 years that, they make like Victoria's Secret underwear and, that kind of stuff. And so he kind of like made that all happen, because if we don't have accountants, to keep track of everything, so they were both incredibly supportive of me, driving me around and with a pickup truck loaded with timpani and xylophones and orchestral bells and marching snare drums, and, getting me into nightclubs before I was, old enough to get in there so I can get my experience. So yeah, they're heroes, man. A lot of my colleagues that I look to, people that are, a little older than me, I think, I think that everybody looks to guys, in our industry, guys like Kenny Aronoff, who have like just an insane work ethic. There's no way you could play with that many artists on a global level and record that many records without in an almost obsessive work ethic. And it speaks to balance, and he'll tell you he has no balance. And I've come very close to not having a whole lot of balance, but I try in my life. Like I like great friends. I like colorful food. I like going to see new films. I like clothes shopping. I like sipping a nice glass of red wine. If it turns into 2 glasses, so be it. You only live once. And those kind of things that can take you, that are nice little reprieves from the hustle, because it's just such a competitive industry, and it just requires you to just show up every day at a high level. But I mean, I look to guys, I'm sure a lot of drummers in the world have looked at him as like the benchmark of like, well, look what you can accomplish if you really, really roll up your sleeves. I think a record for him was like touring the world with 2 different artists, and around that, he still recorded 35 records. Wow, man. Insane. How do you, like, I have the Modern Drummer magazine. It's like, that's the benchmark. That's a lot of red eyes. And it's a little harder now. I don't think that kind of thing exists anymore, really, because we don't have a lot of red eyes anymore. Right. With the airline industry being as unhealthy as it is, and with the music industry being as unhealthy as it is, there's just far fewer opportunities. But I was talking to our buddy Mark Schulman the other day, and he mentioned during his clinic, he said, we are in a self-generated industry. The music industry is now self-generated. If you roll your sleeves up enough, you can tour, you can record. Even if you're not recording like us down here in Nashville at Sound Emporium and Soundstage and Ocean Way, you can record drums and make money playing the drums from your house. Yeah, absolutely, man. That's an amazing perspective. I mean, what would you say you want your career to look like? I mean, this is kind of a little bit typical, but 5 years from now, or let's just jump to the very end. If you could say, man, these are the things that I accomplished. What are the things you haven't done yet? Because I mean, dude, you've done so many amazing things. There's probably some kids listening that feel like if they just did what you've done, that would be the epitome of success. Well, I think you create your own luck, but I do thank God with a massive gratitude that some musicians work their whole life to try to create a scenario where they can play on a number 1 song. And somehow through persistence, determination, the sun and the moon all lining up, and the people in my life, I've been able to play on 20 number 1 songs. So I get to hear myself on the radio. I don't listen to the radio a lot, but people are like, dude, I heard you on the radio 4 times in an hour. It's like, that's awesome. That's amazing. I don't make money off of that. It's just a cool thing that you could say in your life. But, moving forward, I think I'm on a model for me that works, where I'm wearing a lot of hats. The pressure comes from me personally holding myself to a high ideal, and to try to do all the things that I do at the highest level, Yeah. and I'm really interested now in acting and voice acting, and I got a teacher, and I've been studying voice acting. He's a big star in the anime film world, and he's actually the voice of Pokemon. And so, like, I've been visiting with him, and by the end of December, I'm going to have a nice little voiceover demo. So, is it a nice fallback plan? Voiceover? No, it's competitive, if not more competitive than being a musician, but you can't open any doors and get any work for yourself if you don't have a demo. So I went and I studied with him, and now I'll have a demo. So it's crazy. You gotta pay to play. I mean, You have to have the tools. You got to be able to play, but it really does help if you can have a website and a demo, any way to kind of promote yourself and break through the noise, because there's so much noise out there. How do you separate yourself from the masses?
Yeah, there's an incredible amount of noise, and I was listening to a podcast the other day where they were discussing, how do you break through? And it's funny how sometimes the best answer you're looking for is delivered in the most simple way. So I hope this is the same for you guys listening, but they were essentially saying, at the end of the day, you can't do what other people are doing. You just can't do that. As soon as you have an idea where you're trying to go, I should do that thing that someone else is doing, you're too late, So yeah, nowadays you're right. We can make our own success. We have so many platforms. I mean, you think of Facebook, you think of Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn. We have all these resources, and they're all free, and you get to go on there and build platforms. It's phenomenal, right?
Oh yeah, totally. There's really no excuse. Some people are just kind of late to the party. I got ribbed quite a bit by industry folks here in Nashville 8 years ago, and now they're in the game, but they're late. You know what I mean? Like you got to promote yourself. I mean, you could pay top dollar to have a publicist, but for the most part, you could accomplish some cool stuff like by just putting out some quality content. I just met with a friend today who's kind of like into holistic healing and nutrition and colonics and making us feel good from the inside. And she wants to build her business. And so we got together at Whole Foods, and I gave her a little advice about, creating some memes and putting some nice advice out there into the world. And, if you're giving 98% of the time, I'm trying to give, I'm trying to share. I'm completely transparent. I have nothing to hide, because the formula that I've used to create a path may not work for you, but you can steal all my ideas. I'm just going to put it out there, and then you create your own thing. We all can play the same beat, and it's all going to be completely different.
Right. That's great. That is so cool to hear that you've been meeting with people outside of the industry, able to offer them advice on how to be successful, because the principles apply with no matter what you're doing, right? It might not look like a demo tape, but maybe it's a promo video, or maybe it's fill in the blank, something different for you. It's also a voiceover tape. There's different things in every area of life. So even for myself, recently I met with someone who was asking me advice regarding speaking. They're getting into speaking. That was one person I met with. Another person is a lifestyle coach that I've been helping out a little bit. And I'm applying the same rules that I'm applying to help 180, garner traffic to their career. So guys, by digging in and, following what Rich is saying, if you decide along the way, you know what, maybe I want to do something other than just drums, you've at least gotten into a routine of applying good practice, So
Yeah. What the drums have taught me over the years is all about passion, persistence, and determination. You have to have passion, and you have to be consistent, consistently persistent. You have to be determined. You can't be derailed. I mean, just the idea of moving to one of the most competitive music cities on the planet. What kind of crazy person does that? We do it. We show up like this town needs another musician. We're set. We're golden, but people are going to come here. There's 90 people a day moving to Nashville. It's the fastest growing city in America.
Wow.
Got $20 billion worth of development in a 2-mile radius. It's just a really amazing, fast growing city. So it's good to be here, and to be in line, for 19 years we've been here. So I'm not saying I'm on the front of the line, but I'm in line, which is great.
That's great, man. That sounds like a great place to invest in property. That's amazing. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I love that you shared earlier too, to touch on this a little bit, because you said I'm not all like you're looking to offer people advice and help, and it's free advice that you're looking to offer them. Like you talked about with your friend, right? It's like, look, this stuff works for me. Maybe it'll work for you, but there's this attitude of, you're just looking to give something, right? Just give something. And I think that if a lot of us look at our career as not like the musician who's in such a rush, but instead the musician who's saying, what do I have to give? I have drums and that's my skill. How can I give that make that as great an experience as possible and make it something that anyone would want to receive, I think that's a huge way to kind of place yourself on the path to success. So that's great, man. You're sharing awesome stuff. We've actually got a couple questions that some people online have been asking. So
cool.
I'm going to rattle a couple of these off here. We've got on Instagram, we have Josh Ayers Drums. He asked, what is Rich listening to on iTunes right now?
Oh, amazing. Well, first of all, I'm mad that Apple doesn't allow me to just order download an MP3 from my device anymore from iTunes. They want you to subscribe to Apple Music.
Oh.
That streaming service. I don't know if you've tried to buy anything on your device. You could do it on your laptop now, but you can't order something download something from iTunes on your device.
Get out of here.
So we're all being pushed into a streaming society. And as we know, streaming is super, super convenient, but it wreaks havoc on artists and songwriters. Wow.
Fascinating. I did not know that. I do use Spotify, and I know it's so tough when the direction of culture heads in one way and everyone is kind of forced to take part, right? It's like, what do you do? How do you combat that, Well,
it's like my laptop is one of the last laptops that has a DVD drive, and now Apple is, making there's no DVD drives. If you want to have a DVD, you have to buy an external. So in a way, it's kind of like forcing everybody to constantly adapt to new technology. But to answer your question, it's really, really funny. I've got a notepad on my phone that says books and records to buy, and I'm constantly adding to it, and I haven't done a lot of it. But I keep always revisiting the classics. So I always go back to my Americana stuff that I love, Lucinda Williams, Sean Colvin, Bruce Springsteen, John Mellencamp, and then classic rock like The Faces, Rod Stewart, Led Zeppelin, The Who, The Beatles, The Rolling Stones, all your holy grails of created the infrastructure of our music, the building blocks of modern music. But look at all these things that I've written down. I know that Ryan Adams has got a new record I want to get. Jason Isbell, Gary Newman put out a new record called Splinter. There's a cool band called the Bad Sons. Chris Stapleton's record is badass. You told me about Paramore's the Angels and Airwaves record. Florence and the Machine, Brandy Carlisle. See, my buddy just played on the new Ace Frehley record. I love that. You told me about some cool books, too, that I got to get. Keb Mo did a record a few years back that my buddy Keo Stroud played on. So it's like, I'm so bad. I've got to download these records. But for the most part, my friends make fun of me because every day when I'm in the dressing room or the locker room or whatever, I'm shaving, they always hear me cranking up Maggie May and You Wear It Well, and Every Picture Tells a Story from Rod Stewart. There's just something really, really fun about that music that was recorded in the 70s because it sounds like they were about to all fall apart at any moment. Sounds like they had been drinking. Nothing was fixed, and it's just raw and real, and it sounds so refreshing. I constantly revisit it.
Wow, that's awesome, man. What would you say? Do you have a go-to track? Do you have a song right now that if you were to jump in your car, you'd be like, this is the song of the moment?
Yeah, I mean, it's so weird. Like Rod Stewart's greatest hits, there's something from that era I just love so much. So Maggie May, You Wear It Well, Every Picture Tells a Story, and then Twistin' the Night Away. Rod Stewart's version of Twistin' the Night Away just makes me want to just frickin' stop traffic, get out of my car, and just start doing the twist in the middle of the highway.
Amazing. Dude, isn't music so powerful?
Yeah, my other Desert Island records would be like John Mellencamp's Scarecrow and the Lonesome Jubilee. Those were amazing. Steve Earle's Guitar Town, the Police's Synchronicity, Ronnie James Dio's Last in Line. There's just, I have a Lucinda Williams, Car Wheels on a Gravel Road. It's just kind of everywhere. Miles Davis, Kind of Blue. You kind of mix it all up. That's kind of my tastes.
Very cool, man. Okay, we got another question here. This one comes from a company. They're pretty cheeky because they're called Sledgepad. I don't know if you've heard of them before or not, so they're getting a little bit of airtime. But that's what happens, guys, when you ask questions. You get a little bit of airtime. So they asked if you're putting anything in your bass drum. What kind of stuff you put in your bass drum?
Oh, so the folks at Sledgepad must be in the inventing and field testing and
you got it.
Device. Guys, I use the stock but wonderfully designed DW Wishbone pillow that takes up very little space in the bass drum, and then it touches both heads, which is kind of like a perfect design. And then also my friends, they just sent me the Kick Pro. There's a pillow. There's a company that created this commercial product. It's pretty heavy, called the Kick Pro. And then for any of our listeners out there, our buddy Greg Morrow, that just did an amazing clinic here in Nashville, uses a hospital pillow. That's his secret weapon, because the hospital pillow is usually cheap as hell, and so it's not very heavy. So it just provides just enough muffling. And I think the key is to have the pillow be able to touch both heads. Right? And if for some reason the engineer comes, I was getting drum sounds Friday for the new Aldean record, and the engineer said, I want a little bit more life to the drum, so we pulled the muffling away from the front head. We put a little sandbag in there, so the muffling was just touching the beater side of the head.
Very cool. That's awesome, man.
But I'm open to field testing whatever. Always, I love the idea of forward-thinking people and inventors and startup companies, like my buddy JC with Drum Tax, our buddy JC, what a fun idea. And when I met them at NAMM 2 years ago, it's amazing to see in 700 days how far the brand has come and how sticky it's becoming across the world. People are like, wow, this thing works. I can use it on the bottom of my drum heads. I can use them on the bottom of my cymbals. It looks really sexy. It's affordable. And then it's just it's word of mouth. It's word of mouth in the drum community. When somebody likes a product, it can catch fire, and it has been, and it's really been great to see.
JC's been doing a great job. That guy's such a rock star. Another thing I saw you've got here is a new product with DW that you did. This is called the Black Sheep Bass Drum Beater. Dude, tell us about this, man.
Oh, yeah, the Black Sheep Bass Drum Beater. I'm so excited about it. I'm going to be at PAS. If you're going to be at the Percussive Art Society in San Antonio, that's this Wednesday through Sunday of this week. I'm sure DW will have a booth, and I'm going to stop by. They're going to have some Black Sheeps on hand. But it's basically a wood beater, and it's not completely round, and it's not square. So it's in between a square and a round beater, and it's got a lot of attack, a lot of thump. It's got high-end click. And also with that beater comes a wool, almost like it looks like an afro, man. And you put you could put this wool material on top of that beater, and so for the bang for your buck, you get the hardest of the hard and the softest of the soft sound in one beater. So it's a product that we've been designing for 2 years with me and my buddy Scott Donnell over at DW, and we came up with the name Black Sheep because it's black. It's a black beater, which I love. My two favorite colors are black and red, and I'm the black sheep of my family. I'm the only person in generations and generations of my family that plays music.
Wow. Very cool.
So yeah, look for that in online at GC, at Sam Ash, and your 5-star drum shops, your mom and pop drum shops. It's available as of now everywhere.
This is my favorite line from your little excerpt on this product is, quote, if Darth Vader played drums, he would use this, end quote.
Well, it's just foreboding. It's flat. It's just so ominous,
Dude, I love it. Yeah, it looks wicked right away. The combination of the way it looks in this picture you posted that we've got now on the page we reposted, and the idea of the afro, I want it for those reasons alone. So I'm sure that it sounds... What's the weight of it? How heavy is it?
It's not that heavy, but I know that my drum tech John tried it and he was like, "Man, this has got it's got a lot of throw, a lot of power." And so I was getting drum sounds on Friday, and I had the standard DW plastic felt combination beater on there, and that's whatever. That's the industry standard. It's so classic. You can get those two sounds in one. And I put on the wood beater, and the engineer just lit up. He was like, "Man, I love that. It's so full," because you're going from plastic to wood. It's really good to have all these different sounds in your arsenal. You should have the plastic. You should have the wood. You should have acrylic. You should have wool. You should have the felt. It's good to have all those things in your bag of tricks. This
Very
product
cool.
just happens to be the hardest of the hard and the softest of the soft all in one.
Amazing. All right, guys, you got to check that out. And that's something that I'd imagine they can check out on dwdrums.com as well as richredmond.com.
You're giving me some really good ideas. It's not on my website yet, and I don't know if they have a video at DW, but I know that I need to be shooting one, so thanks for putting that in my head.
You got to come to 180 Drums and do that, I think.
Yeah. Well, we had a great time. We did some great stuff in a very compressed period of time.
No kidding. Guys, Rich I think you did something like 30 lessons in a day, something outrageous.
I think we did 18 lessons in 4 hours.
Oh, that's right. We did a half day with you, but all I remember is that for the duration of time, it was a record. So, what's up, guys? And I joked with Chris. I did a podcast interview with Chris Mazzarisi, who you're product testing another thing called Rich's Ring, which you guys got to check out soon. I'm dying to get my hands on one. I think you and I actually talked about this in the car, too, because you beat me to it. But Rich's Ring, and Chris and I were joking around how that morning that I picked you up for 180, you came out at, what time was it that I picked you up, like 6:30 in the morning?
Oh my God, that's right.
And we went to bed we both got, I drove you back from a clinic in Toronto. You got to bed probably around, I don't know what time. And then I had to drive home another 20 minutes after that. So it was a late night. I want to say, it was like 2 in the morning, and then we got up at 6.
Three and a half hours sleep.
Yeah, and I joked with Chris that you came out of the hotel just like ready to go, just like Rich Redmond, such a pro, this guy. And the first words out of your mouth though were coffee. You're like, coffee.
Chris has got a killer thing going with Big Fat Snare. For the people that don't know out there, Chris basically has an awesome commercial product where you could take the cutout of an old head. A lot of session drummers would cut out the outside ring of an old head, or just take the whole top head and lay it on another snare drum to muffle the snare drum to give you that kind of fat Rumors, Eagles' Greatest Hits 1970s sound. And he's got one product that covers the whole head. He's got another product that covers almost the whole head. And I said, we should have a product that covers as little of the head as possible. So it's still muffled, but it's more of an open sound. So we'll have 3 products. And for the listeners out there, let us know what title you like. I really don't know if we decided if it was going to be Rich's Ring, Rich's Circle of Friends, or Rich's Vicious Circle. Rich's Vicious Cycle. I don't know. But because there already is a Richie Ring. There's some guy that named.
That's right.
So this would be Rich's Ring, and I think it works. I don't know. We'll find out.
I think Rich's Ring is cool, but all right, guys, tell us what you think. You got the 3 options of Rich's Ring, Rich's Circle of Friends, or Rich's Vicious Circle.
Yeah, as a vicious circle would be a vicious cycle. What's a cycle?
Yeah. Love it. Okay, cool, guys. Let us know what you think. Okay, man, here's a couple rapid-fire questions. Do you have a favorite book, or is there a book you're currently working on?
Favorite book? I love The Secret by Rhonda Byrne. Never Eat Alone by Keith Ferrazzi. I like Crush It by Gary Vaynerchuk. The Lord of the Rings. And I'm writing a book about how to navigate the Nashville music business, so hopefully that would be out sometime before next summer.
Amazing. That's awesome. Do you have an app that you use the most?
Waze.
Cool.
It's that one that tells you it's basically a navigation system, but it'll tell you if there's an accident, if there's police scanners, if there's construction, it'll tell you the fastest way to get around there. And of course, I like Lyft and Uber. Great ways to have a fun night and not end up in the slammer.
No kidding. You said waves or ways?
Waze, which is, let me see how they spell it. Waze.
Cool. Very cool. That's awesome, man. Do you have any purchases you've made lately? Have you bought anything that's like, you know, $100 or under or $20 or under that is just changing your life?
I'm having my second midlife crisis, so I treated myself to the most amazing, one of a kind, unique, custom leather jacket. And
yes, you did.
I
I love it.
walk about 2 inches taller in this thing. There's something pretty amazing about custom clothing. I mean, you can't wear everything custom. It doesn't make sense, but you know, occasionally, you know, the custom belt, the custom jacket, a custom shirt. It's just makes such a difference when you go to a tailor and it's one of a kind thing that fits your body and only your body. But it was designed by a friend of mine in LA that designs clothing for, you know, the Black Keys and all the hip rock bands, and it was just an amazing experience. He provided me with an experience as soon as I walked through his door, and then when the jacket showed up on my front porch, I put it on, and it's just been a kind of like a life changer. It's been awesome.
It's funny. I'm the same way. I just bought a pair of All Saints. You know All Saints? You familiar with them?
Oh yeah.
I'm a huge fan of All Saints. I've bought most of their jackets secondhand. Not that they're even that expensive, but I've just gotten great opportunities to buy jackets, and it's like I've got a few of them. I think I've got like 4 All Saints jackets, and they all change your life. It's so dumb, but it's like you get those jackets and they mean so much. I can't imagine if I had one that was custom fitted one day, Rich.
Well, it's just hey, you know. Well, did they have? Does All Saints have like discounts online or whatever, where you can buy it online? And
yeah, they do. That's I usually wait for the blowout sales. That's exactly right.
That's cool, man.
Dude,
totally
the best. Do you know who Jeff Randall is?
Yeah.
Cool. He's like an Instagram guy that's been doing a great job getting the word out there about his playing. We actually did a podcast interview with Jeff because he's become a buddy of mine, and he's a wicked drummer. He sounds great. But he asked here online, how do you prepare for large concerts and clinics? Also, how do you conquer or suppress your nervousness in those situations?
Well, I'll tell you, I'll pimp another buddy of mine. Mark Schulman just wrote a great book called Conquering Life Stage Fright, and he talks about his experiences over the last 20, 25, 30 years playing with some of the greatest musical acts in the world, and he's interviewed highly successful people to figure out what they do to overcome stage fright. I'm not a big stage fright guy. I think that I just feel like you earn the place on stage. You earn that position, and by showing up every night and playing from the heart and sweating and doing your thing, that you just have to know in your heart of hearts, not in a cocky way, but in a confident way, you deserve to be there. You earn the right to be there. But I've never mailed in a performance, and so as long as you know going out there, no matter what, if you're hungover or you're puking or you got diarrhea, none of it matters. The only thing that matters is that you give 150% to the band, the artist, and the audience, because you know they all deserve it and they're all counting on you. I get more nervous when I first started doing clinics a decade ago, you know, doing a clinic for 5 kids because they're all like pressed up against your drum set and they're watching every move you make and your grip and your posture and the cleanliness of your paradiddles. And but I've done so many now that that is now like wearing an old pair of shoes. I'm sure if I had to go out and do a freeform open drum solo in front of guys like Marco Minnemann and Thomas Lang, I'm sure I would be nervous because that's a little bit, you know, like out of my wheelhouse. You know, I'm playing like song-oriented drumming, and you know, to go out there and do something that would impress those guys would be kind of nerve-wracking.
Yeah, that's great, man. I love that you talked about earning your spot on stage. That's such a brilliant way to put it, because when I watched you with Jason Aldean, it didn't feel like there was a hint of nervousness. It felt like it was ease, right? You were just doing what you do, man. But yeah, the only instances you talked about feeling uncomfortable were both instances where it was out of your element and it was maybe a bit of a lack of preparation, right? Like you don't prepare drum solos. So that's great, man. Okay, Schumart on Instagram asked, Schumart, there's another guy. He said, if Rich could swap drums for another instrument, what would it be and why?
I always make make fun that like I always have like secret fantasies of being like that saxophone player, that's like circular breeze and like goes out to the audience and kind of serenades all the hot cougars and stuff with your sax. but I love it. But like saxophone kind of fell out of favor as like the sexy instrument. But in the 80s and 90s, man, they gave it hell. But wouldn't it be nice to be a front man and be like, wouldn't it be awesome to be just as good on a guitar, like, and go out and like front your own band? And that's why it's so awesome that a guy like Dave Grohl is so talented on all the instruments and could go out there and pull that off. That would be great. But there's only so many hours in the day, and I'm just such a hack on the guitar. So I just try to surround myself with people that are great at what they do. And if everybody's great at what they do, when they come together, the end result is magnificent.
That's great, man. I love that you said there's only so many hours in the day, because it's totally true, right? You can't, you got to pick your battles. And if it doesn't inspire you, there's no point in pursuing it. But I do agree. If I could be John Mayer, I would definitely do that.
I would probably say, yeah, I mean, Dave Grohl is kind of like the holy grail of somebody that like, he just, everything he does turns to gold, utter confidence. And to make it, top it all off, he's an extremely nice, humble, approachable person, and he's got an amazing personality. I watched him. He subbed for Chelsea Lately on her show one week, like where he did an entire week subbing for Chelsea Lately, and
wow,
he crushed it. He was so funny and charismatic and on point. He never missed a beat. He was right on with the teleprompter. Super great host. It was like, wow, this guy can do anything.
Amazing. I wonder, man, wouldn't you love to talk to him? Just pick his brain on, how he's gotten to this place.
Yeah.
Oh, man. You haven't met him yet, have you?
Nuh-uh.
You will.
I've heard stories from all the right people that say, yeah, he's just a great guy.
Yeah, me too. I've had a few friends meet him and just say that he's amazing. Just stops at the drop of a hat to meet someone new and hear them out,
Yeah.
Which is rare. Man, if you could send a postcard to everybody in the world, they're going to receive this postcard, but you can only write a title on the postcard. What would your message be?
The Warren Zevon said, enjoy every sandwich. I saw that interview on David Letterman. It was one of his last interviews. So that's already taken, so I can't say that. Can't say seize the day.
You can say that. I think you can say that. I think you can say enjoy every sandwich. I've never heard that before, and if I got a letter, or a postcard with quotes, and it was titled Rich Redmond, I would think that you said that. I love it.
Enjoy every sandwich. I'll have to come up with something super, super one sentence, super succinct that like just sums up my whole philosophy in life. So now I have something to do, but just off the top of my head, it would be something like, let's have a kick-ass day, or I don't know, hug someone right now.
Love it.
I love hugging people. Like a lot of people, very rarely do you go in for a handshake and somebody doesn't offer you a hug. At least in my life, there's a lot of people offering hugs, and I'm happy to do it. Very rarely do you get the tight upper lip, firm handshake person that doesn't want a hug. But hugging is all the rage, man, and I have no problem with doing European kisses on my male friends. I say, like, let's hug it out, man.
I think that's awesome, man. I feel like I'm in the same boat where a lot of my engagements, someone offers a hand and I immediately turn it into the bro hug, And if I go to extend a hug and someone kind of was to push it off just to be a handshake, I'd be like, this person's got issues, They're hurting inside. And
that's when I still give them the air kiss, like the, what I mean, just to make them feel ultra uncomfortable. But
oh, it's amazing. That's great, man. We talked about this a little bit, so maybe I'll skip that question. I was going to ask, what's something that you think people would find surprising about you? Do you have anything that comes to mind?
God, I like romantic comedies.
Oh, cool.
I'm highly lactose intolerant. Let's see. Just factoids, yeah. Can't digest cheese, and he likes chick flicks. I don't know. I love horror movies. I don't know. Surprising about me. I don't know, man. I don't know.
All three of those, dude.
You know me pretty well. I don't know.
I think all three of those are great. I think what people don't know about you, and I actually prefaced you and I starting this podcast by saying this is something that I hope people get out of this, but it's just how real of a human being you are. It's people catch this small glimpse of who you are because you're a top performer, and top performers always sacrifice a little bit of themselves to be able to deliver excellent world-class quality. And that's what you do. You deliver in the highest level, but you can't live in that arena. Like, no one can live where you're always delivering. You have to be poured into in order to pour out. So with you pour out amazing content. You pour out yourself, your skills, and it's awesome. But what's cool is to catch you in the moments where you're refilling or you're recharging and you're really transparent, you're just sharing, and how genuine you are as a person, how easy you are to hang out with. I think that's stuff that for anyone who gets the privilege to, have even just a little bit of time that you and I have had to hang out and be buddies, I think that's something that a lot of people would probably find surprising. It's just, you're such a good dude. Like, there's no ego, there's nothing. So
I got to check in with you more often, dude. Yeah, we had a nice day and a half, 2 days together. It was really, really fun, and we had a couple cocktails together. It was super, super fun night down there at the Molson, man.
That's right. You got the venue right, man. I'm amazed you can remember venues.
Yeah, sometimes you forget and you walk in, you're like, oh yeah, the dressing room's around the corner to the left here, and they've got a Pac-Man machine. It's great.
That's right. We were yelling at people from the balcony, and then they ended up on a balcony above us, yelling down at us. And then I'm pretty sure one of your buddies was FaceTiming his wife, and you ruined that. You got right up in there in the background.
Uh-oh.
Yeah,
that's right.
Good
that's
times.
Right. Yeah,
awesome, man. Well, I've got a couple more questions, but I truly don't want to steal your time. I know that you've got to get out. You've got a busy night. So we're going to have to do this again at some point and just hang out because, man, I love chatting with you, dude. You are so inspiring on so many levels because my feeling with you, after chatting is not just, oh, I got to go play my drums. It's, man, I can live my life better. That is the most inspiring thing. I know that earlier you mentioned the highest compliment is someone saying that you're professional. And I think that that's great when you're getting hired. For you, I feel like the best compliment I can offer you as a person is just that you are a total inspiration, man. You're super inspiring. So I hope that everyone...
You inspire me, man. I draw inspiration from guys like you. I mean, you're on the front end of your career, and you take life seriously. You're running a business. You're building a business. You keep yourself in tip-top shape, which is always really inspiring because it commands respect. When you walk into the room looking like you immediately level the playing field, and you command respect because you respect yourself enough to take care of yourself like that, which is amazing, which is inspiring. So I draw inspiration from, a lot of my friends like yourself are young enough to be, you could be my son, for Christ's sake. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's really cool to, to keep up with the Joneses and see where people are drawing inspiration from and the way people are approaching their life. Because, I was just kind of like went to the traditional path of like college for like 7 years. And you're like just basically a high level entrepreneur and building a business. And I think that's where a lot of things are going to go. So I know that whatever you do is going to be very successful.
Man, that means so much, dude. I appreciate that a ton. And, for everybody listening, I think what you got to latch onto in this moment and what you got to learn from this isn't just a schmooze fest. It's truly that inspiring people, it's contagious. And you want to surround yourself with people. I've actually heard the stat that your income, which again, an income is not the most important thing in life, but this is fascinating. Your income is the average of your 5 closest friends' income. So that tells you something about the power of influence and the power of who you associate with, who you hang out with, and who you enjoy spending time with. So isn't that just such a crazy stat, man?
Oh, that is a crazy stat. For me personally, it was like being around musicians. I see a lot of the same musicians 300 days a year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's kind of an interesting thing. That is awesome. But yeah, enthusiasm is contagious. The most contagious disease on the planet is enthusiasm.
I love it. I love it. And we need more of it, so that's great. Last question for you, man. If you could go back 5 years or 10 years, what is something that you'd give yourself advice on?
I think it's always good to tell people to try to figure out a way to smell the roses and to seek balance in your life. But also, I would tell the younger me to just ask people more often for help. You know, I see a lot of people moving to Nashville, and they're so brave, and it could be just a generational thing, but there's all these millennials that are moving to Nashville, and they literally just, they have something that they want to accomplish, and they literally will just walk up to the most connected person and ask for their phone number and will ask for help, which is where in, 1997, we just didn't do that. It's definitely, I've seen a shift. But what's really funny is that every time I've been bold enough to tell somebody, this is what I'm trying to accomplish, can you help me? It's always worked out. People will go out of their way, usually, to help someone.
Wow. Amazing. Guys, I hope you've gotten a ton out of this. Rich, we loved having you on the show, man. I can't wait to have you on again. And guys, I would encourage you, go follow Rich on all his social medias. Your social media Instagram is at Rich Redmond, correct?
Yes, sir.
So at RichRedmond, Rich Redmond. And that's consistent on Facebook. You can just search Rich Redmond. You'll find him there on Instagram, Twitter. Do you have a YouTube account as well?
Yeah, youtube.com/Rich Redmond. And I have about 250 videos on there.
Wow, guys, there's an amazing place to go. And another thing is we filmed a whole bunch of lessons with Rich. We haven't released any of them yet. Maybe by the time you're listening to this, we'll have begun to release some of them. But we really got in depth with Rich. We teach fast lessons at 180, as you guys now know. For any of you who've checked out the site, we try and keep it 10 minutes or under. If sometimes we go a little bit over that, but the goal is we want to deliver you exactly what you need to know and explain it as best we can. So, guys, check all that stuff out. Follow what Rich is up to. Rich, we love you, dude. We'll chat with you soon.
Jake, thanks so much for having me. And yeah, man, let me know when those videos are rocking.
Boom. Guys, that was amazing. I hope you had as much fun as I did hanging out with Rich, hearing him share about a ton of amazing things. And I did at the end say that there might be lessons up. We have lessons on 180drums.com right now with Rich Redmond for you guys to check out and get pumped about, covering pretty well everything there is to cover with the guy. He moves so fast, and I would encourage you guys to look into what Rich is doing, to follow him, not just so that we can, increase our followers or any of that stuff. That's not the point of this podcast. It's that Rich delivers information regularly. And when you attach yourself to people like Rich, even just socially, it'll rub off on you. You're going to learn some things and be inspired and motivated by him, because he seems to move a mile a minute and doesn't slow down. So we loved having him on the show. Thank you guys so much for continuing to be avid listeners. We've got amazing feedback and amazing viewership already in the podcast. It's truly an honor. And 180drums.com is really inspired that we get to bring this to you guys, myself as a co-founder and as the host of this show. And 180, I just couldn't be more honored to be part of the community and excited about where drumming is headed and the level of community that's growing in the drum world. You guys are so awesome, and meeting so many of you has been such a treat. So guys, head to the iTunes store. Feel free to rate the podcast. Let us know what you think. Feel free to email me, and I will do my absolute best to get back to you as soon as possible. Jake@180drums.com, and my name is simply spelled Jake at 180drums.com. Feel free to drop me a line, and I would love to hear what you guys think. You can also add me on Facebook, follow me on socials as well, at Jake Nicole, Nicolle. So yeah, guys, we love y'all. We think you guys are awesome and amazing, and I'm really excited to continue to delve deeper. If there's other people you'd really want to see us interview, let us know. All right, guys, until the next time, we will see you later.
Mr. Randolph, episode 4.